In the headlines of this hour on VTV News, Vietnam moves to build a transparent crypto asset market. Later on, great opportunities for Vietnam's semiconductor industry. In our world news, U.S. imposes 25% tariff on imported cars, drawing global backlash.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good morning. It is currently 8 a.m. local time, and you're tuning into 30 minutes of VTV News. I'm Lilin Lei with the latest updates. Now, at the invitation of State President Lương Cường, King Philippe of Belgium and Queen Mathilde will pay a state visit to Vietnam from March the 31st to April the 4th, 2025. The visit is expected to strengthen diplomatic ties and enhance bilateral cooperation between the two nations. On Wednesday evening, receiving Ambassador of the Republic of Australia, Philip Acthonos, at the start of his term of office in Vietnam, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính affirmed that Vietnam always attaches importance to consolidating and enhancing friendly and cooperative relations with Austria. He also thanked the Austrian government for providing ODA to Vietnam. The Prime Minister suggested that the two sides promote trade and investment exchanges, cooperation in science and technology, cultural and artistic exchanges, education and training, and requested Austria grant more scholarships to Vietnamese students. During a meeting with Skoda Auto Chair Klaus Zellmer, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính welcomed the inauguration of the Thành Công Việt Hưng automobile factory, where the first Skoda models in Vietnam are being produced. This milestone marks a new economic and investment cooperation phase between Vietnam and the Czech Republic. The Prime Minister encouraged both sides to increase localization, utilize Vietnamese workers and materials, and develop a domestic automotive ecosystem. He also emphasized the importance of technology transfer, human resource training, and supply chain integration to enhance Vietnam's global competitiveness in the auto industry. In response, Skoda's chair affirmed the company's commitment to Vietnam, expressing hopes to expand into the Southeast Asian market through this collaboration. Vietnam sees over $120 billion in annual crypto asset transactions, with over 17 million people owning digital assets. These figures highlight a massive underground economic force with strong growth potential, but no regulatory framework. In response, a conference on international experiences in managing centralized crypto exchanges was held on Thursday in Hanoi.
During the conference, experts agreed that in addition to establishing a legal framework for crypto assets, Vietnam should pilot a government-supervised crypto exchange to mitigate risks, enhance transparency, and ensure financial security.
Today's technology, we can still track them and freeze those assets.
Experts suggest Vietnam could learn from Singapore and South Korea, where crypto exchanges must meet financial transparency requirements when registering. Licensed international exchanges may also be allowed to operate legally in Vietnam if they comply with regulatory obligations.
In the initial phase, we must encourage proper recognition of crypto access and implement reasonable taxation to ensure long-term revenue. We must also strictly prevent illegal activity in Vietnam.
Vietnam has a competitive advantage due to its young, tech-savvy population and growing interest in digital assets. Establishing a legal framework for crypto assets will create a healthy trading environment, protect investors, and boost the digital economy, contributing to long-term economic growth.
Before a chip is integrated into a computer, phone, or car, it must undergo a crucial step, testing, which determines whether it meets quality standards. That is one of the final stages in the semiconductor production chain. And in Vietnam, despite many operational factories, few domestic enterprises are capable of handling this process.
This is the first Vietnamese-owned enterprise among the 7 packaging and testing factories in Vietnam. The decision to invest in 3 semiconductor assembly, testing, and packaging factories was based on 2 key factors: policy and resources.
This is a strategic and sustainable direction, as the global market increasingly relies on Vietnam's role in this industry.
Experts say Vietnam has an advantage in semiconductor development, particularly in packaging and testing, compared to neighboring countries. To compete, Vietnam should focus on advanced packaging, a set of multi-chip packaging techniques allowing quicker market entry.
Training engineers in these skills will make it easier to develop semiconductor production in the future and attract investment more effectively.
Resolution 57's policies, including tax incentives, credit, finance, and land support, drive businesses to invest confidently. The goal is to have 5 Vietnamese companies capable of providing international standard packaging and testing services by 2030.
We hope that bold and effective policies are matched by decisive implementation. Only then can we achieve real results.
The semiconductor industry is a key pillar of Resolution 57 for high-tech development in Vietnam. However, progress will remain stagnant without a clear, unified policy. Vietnam risks staying a low-cost land rental hub rather than achieving its goal of developing technology and supply chains and becoming a regional supply center.
FPT Corporation officially launched its High-Tech Research and Development Center and the first semiconductor research facility at the city's Software Park No. 2 on March the 27th in Da Nang City. The center will focus on developing 100% Vietnamese technology products, with an expected output of 10 new products annually. The launch of this high-tech research and semiconductor center is a significant step toward developing strategic technologies, such as artificial intelligence and semiconductor chips, in alignment with Resolution 57. This initiative aims to establish Da Nang as a hub for the semiconductor industry. Vietnam's private economic sector predominantly comprises small and medium-sized enterprises, or SMEs, making them vulnerable to global integration. Their limited production capacity, low competitiveness, and difficulty meeting international standards pose significant challenges. In reality, this calls for self-sufficient effort from each business and synchronous support mechanisms and policies from authorities to enhance practicality and effectiveness.
Launched during the COVID-19 pandemic, this enterprise has overcome challenges and offers 9 provincial 4-star OCOP products. According to the business representative, the recent support in product output facilitation has helped the company thrive.
Without the support from state agencies, my business would have closed by now. I couldn't perform research, introduce products to the market, and expand production.
According to a recent survey by the General Statistics Office, 60% of small and medium-sized enterprises are struggling to survive, and 20% have been dissolved or ceased operations. The main reasons are the lack of connectivity in this group and a significant gap between support policies and their implementation, which doesn't meet the actual needs of the businesses.
We hope that the government will soon provide more projects supporting small and medium-sized enterprises and projects supporting women in developing collective economies and cooperatives. With these projects, we can gain additional funding to support business development further.
Diplomatic and trade agencies in other countries have strongly supported business production and services. Meanwhile, Vietnam businesses are relatively isolated and find it hard to independently seek markets, since most of them are small and medium-sized enterprises. Therefore, in my opinion, support programs for private enterprises in the coming period need to be reformed in a more practical, effective, and market-oriented manner.
Promoting supportive policies will help SMEs be proactive and daring and develop alongside the two economic pillars, state-owned enterprises and foreign direct investment enterprises, contributing to national high-growth targets in the near future.
Vietnam's agricultural, forestry, and its seafood exports hit an estimated $15 billion in the first quarter of 2025, or nearly 11% increase compared to last year. However, several major sectors have seen significant declines. Rice exports, for example, totaled $1.1 billion, a 20% drop from the previous year. Meanwhile, fruit and vegetable exports reached about $420 million in March, marking the sector's third consecutive month of decline, with a total decrease of nearly 11% in the first quarter. On a positive note, exports of coffee, wood products, seafood, and pepper saw growth ranging from 8 to 29%. Coming up next on VTV News, government urges action to improve air quality. And later on, Vietnam expands social welfare to reduce poverty in Central Highlands.
When it comes to business, it's crucial to choose a smart location with global impact. And Vietnam might just be the location for you. Connect worldwide to advanced logistics networks. Smart hub for technology and innovation. A dynamic business ecosystem. An environment with a competitive edge.
Welcome back to VTV News Live. Now on to other important updates. Amid growing concerns over air pollution, government leaders are calling for urgent measures to restore air quality, particularly in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. At a high-level meeting on Thursday, Deputy Prime Minister Trần Hồng Hà emphasized the need for a comprehensive assessment of air pollution based on international standards. He urged authorities to identify pollution sources and use scientific data to propose effective solutions protecting public health. Representatives from ministries and local agencies stressed that major cities must take decisive action, focusing on reducing emissions from traffic and implementing clear action plans with specific targets to combat pollution. Over 200 chimneys and furnaces at 185 households in the Dai Bai concentrated production area have been ordered to be demolished to eliminate pollution caused by casting production and aluminium and copper scrap facilities. That is Bắc Ninh Province's latest move in dealing with long-term pollution in craft villages.
The smokestack from this facility, which collects copper scrap for casting and recycling, is about 20 meters high. The owner is dismantling the facility on the orders of the People's Committee of Bắc Ninh Province.
The craft village recent operations have affected the environment. We must comply with the policy.
For years, untreated solid waste and emissions from the village have been discharged directly into environment, causing major pollution issues. Despite recently investing in a new kiln, this facility had to dismantle it as the kiln failed to meet environmental standards.
Following the authorities' order, we agreed to demolish facility that failed to comply with environmental standards. We have demolished the lower part.
We must handle the environmental issue thoroughly and quickly in the shortest time. This problem has been lingering for many years.
Immediately after the dismantling, Bắc Ninh Province will conduct a comprehensive review and support villagers with transitioning their careers. Traditional facilities must strictly adhere to environmental regulations to continue operating.
The review ensures environmental control criteria and meets broader requirements for city planning, construction orders, and fire prevention and electrical safety. This can only be obtained through a joint effort to address severely polluting facilities.
Local authorities have been implementing strict measures to address the pollution issues in the province.
The Central Highlands provinces are implementing extensive social welfare policies under the Sustainable Poverty Reduction Program. These include essential support for healthcare, education, and basic living conditions, helping improve the quality of life for ethnic communities. With these initiatives, multi-generational families can achieve long-term stability.
Havan family struggle financially with 3 siblings still in school. A monthly allowance from the government provides crucial support, allowing her to continue her education. Over the past 3 years, millions of US dollars from the Poverty Reduction Program have improved schools' infrastructure, benefiting more than 60,500 students.
The school helps her with financial support, making it easier to stay in school without worrying about dropping out.
With government funding for poverty reduction, we now have better infrastructure. Teachers must work closely with parents and students to maximize those resources.
In Đắk Lắk, homes has received free healthcare for years. Recently, electronic health insurance integration has made medical services even more accessible.
With my insurance card, I can get treatment at the local health center or provincial hospital without worrying about costs.
The authorities are committed to effectively implementing national policies to improve the well-being of ethnic communities.
While livelihood support helps raise incomes, substantial investment in social services through the National Poverty Reduction Programs are accelerating poverty alleviation in Đắk Nông. The province's poverty rate is declining by 2.7% annually, with poverty decreasing at an even faster rate of 6.81% per year.
Ho Chi Minh City is set to begin construction of Metro Line 2 this December. Next month, relevant agencies will finalize converting the funding source from ODA or Official Development Assistance to public investment. The city aims to accelerate procedural approvals for the remaining 6 metro lines and set a target to commence construction by 2027. The plan is to build 355 kilometers of metro lines within the next 10 years. As for Metro Line 1, which is already in operation, the city plans to develop a retail chain along the metro route. This business model, successfully implemented internationally, aims to serve passengers and boost the retail sector. Hanoi's tourism sector is booming in 2025, with visitor numbers reaching 7.3 million in the first quarter, an 8.7% increase from last year. The city's Department of Tourism reports this surge has generated revenue of over 1.17 billion US dollars, marking an 11.3% rise from the same period last year. To maintain this momentum, Hanoi has launched its Get on Hanoi 2025 campaign, aimed at boosting both domestic and international tourism. The city is also refining its tourism strategy to be more focused and professional. Over 11,200 police officers were sent to support the Southern Battlefield from 1954 until April 30th, 1975. In the most difficult and intense areas, these officers overcame all challenges, fought courageously, and sacrificed heroically. The early and large-scale assistance of elite police officers from various professional fields helps strengthen security in southern Vietnam during the resistance against American imperialism, contributing to the ultimate victory and the liberation of the South, reunifying the country.
At the People's Public Security Museum, there is a letter written in blood entitled Voluntary Application for Combat Duty by a 23-year-old police officer. At 94 years old, Colonel Nguyen Ik Chung still vividly remembers those days. He and his comrades secretly cleaned up areas, dismantled the enemy's intelligence network, and protected the safety of party headquarters, revolutionary bases, and armed forces.
I visited every household. Within 2 months, we filtered out normal houses from those that can be used as our bases. Without the people, the police force could not complete this mission.
Colonel Nguyễn Huy Can is one of the thousands of armed police officers who answered the call to volunteer on the southern battlefield. Along with his team, he worked in local communities to eliminate evil and dangerous enemy forces and protect the people from harm.
Our job is to make sure the evil rulers and counter-revolutionaries can't put a hand on our people and destroy our base. The locals have lots of trust in us.
At just 20 years old, Hạnh, a cryptographic officer, was sent to the south to reinforce communication for the revolution. Cryptography officers were responsible for safely transmitting confidential messages to the Ministry of Public Security and ensuring the protection of intelligence documents.
As young soldiers, we knew that facing death in battle is unavoidable. As officials defending our country, we were prepared to die in the enemy hands. If the country was still at war, we would keep fighting. Sometimes our comrades were very sick, but they didn't leave.
Over 900 police officers died heroically. Many were captured, tortured, and imprisoned by the enemy. However, they remained steadfast across the battlefields, enduring hardships and sacrifices. Their hearts beat with a single will to give their youth for the day when the country would be unified. Their hearts beat with a single will to give their youth for the day when the country would be reunified.
Coming up next in our world news. U.S. imposes 25% tariff on imported cars, drawing global backlash. And later on, auto industry braces for disruptions as U.S. tariff raises costs. Now moving over to our world news, U.S. President Donald Trump announced a 25% tariff on all imported cars and parts, effective April the 2nd, triggering strong reactions from major auto-producing nations.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen regretted the decision, stating that the EU would assess the impact while seeking negotiations to protect its economic interests. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney called the tariff a direct attack on Canadian workers. His government is considering countermeasures, including a $1.4 billion support package for the auto industry.
We will defend our workers. We will defend our companies. We will defend our country, and we will defend it.
Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba voiced deep concerns, emphasizing Japan's significant investments in the U.S.
We have created tens of thousands of jobs in the U.S. Is this decision truly fair? We will explore appropriate responses. All options are on the table.
Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva warned that the new tariff could harm the U.S. economy, pledging to take the matter to the WTO and consider retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods.
Global automakers set to bear the new tariff's direct impact fear higher U.S. car prices and supply chain disruptions. With tariffs imposed on auto parts, U.S. production costs could rise by $3,500 to $12,000 per vehicle. The move immediately affected stock prices. General Motors fell 8%, Ford and Stellantis lost 4.5%, and Toyota, Honda, and Hyundai dropped 3 to 4%. Tesla, which is reliant on important components, was also affected. Following Trump's tariff announcement, the U.S. dollar surged to a 3-week high against the euro and strengthened against the yen. The Japanese yen fell 0.42% to 150.5 per dollar amid concerns that the tariffs could slow U.S. economic growth and push inflation higher. Industry experts warned that rising car prices could curb production and further pressure the economy. The BOA Forum for Asia 2025 opened on Thursday in Hainan Province, China, focusing on Asia's role in a changing world. This year's annual discussions center on rebuilding trust for cooperation, rebalancing globalization, sustainable development, and AI-driven innovation. Nearly 2,000 representatives from over 60 countries and regions have attended the forum. Founded in 2001, the forum promotes regional economic integration and supports Asia's development goals. Up next, let's have a look at the weather forecast for Vietnam and other locations in the world. And that is all that we have this hour on VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can visit our website or YouTube channel or download a mobile app VTVgo for more. Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.